You're listening to Weather with Enthusiasm. Good afternoon. It is April 1st, 2024. You're listening to Weather with Enthusiasm. This is Simcha Lefton, weather enthusiast. The sound effects in this episode represent winter weather enthusiasts, but also represent those that like warm weather. Those of us that are just listening to the forecasts for the first time in quite a while will be totally shocked to hear that there's snow, even a heavy snowstorm on the way for portions of the Midwest.
Yes!
What makes this unique is that this storm is occurring in areas much further east than usual, and not just the North Dakota, South Dakota, even Minnesota storm. This storm is affecting portions of Wisconsin, even Illinois, portions of Iowa will be seeing snow as well. We also have precipitation falling heavily for tomorrow night.
Oh my gosh.
Now, here is the thing, it's quite tremendous. We have three possible scenarios that could set up over the region, tells us the Chicago National Weather Service. Before we get there, we're just going to talk a little bit about a severe weather potential for today into tomorrow, even for the Chicago portions, which the Storm Prediction Center has put us at a scale of 1 to 5. We're at a severe weather risk of a 1, not for the entire area, but for portions generally Chicago, a little bit further to our east as well and our south. But current National Weather Service forecasters say that really that severe threat has moved further south, but it may come further north for tomorrow. An isolated tornado is also possible, even in areas north of this warm front that has set up from a low pressure system centered in northwest Missouri. Really, the main story is the rain, heavy rain, 1 to 2 inches of rain. Some areas even getting around 2 inches. Well, we mentioned 2 inches of rain. That's what this system is producing. This system started off in eastern Colorado. It has moved into northwestern Missouri. The system is forecast to slowly move southeast overnight into southern Illinois, passing over the St. Louis area, and then starting to move northeast, probably into northwest Indiana. But the main focus becomes whether the storm is going to go into Michigan. What part in Michigan is this storm going to be hitting? We have some computer models that take this storm over to the Detroit area, and then all of the models show the storm moving backwards, retrograding. That's the terminology used. It's almost like starting to make a U-turn. The storm starts to move west. Now, we've seen storms like that before, especially in the upper Midwest. The Colorado low, for example, we've seen it this year, we've seen it last year. They tend to move west, they go over to Wisconsin, then they move west towards the Dakotas once again. But it's not as common to see it this far east, but we're getting it. It's moving into the Michigan area, then going to move west into Wisconsin, at the very least move west into Lake Michigan. But this is a very major question over here, and it needs perfect clarity in order to get the forecast right. Where exactly is the track going to go? When is it going to start to turn west, and how far west is the system going to go? We have one scenario that puts the Chicago area set up for really very little wintry precipitation and very little wind. Lots of rain. But as the storm moves west, Chicago is just too close to the center of the storm to get any type of snow or wind from the system. Okay, we'll get some precipitation as the storm moves away, but we have the other scenarios. The one that sets the Chicago area up for significant snow, puts the low pressure system moving into Michigan. It moves into Michigan. It's actually one of the higher resolution models that pushes it well into Michigan, and then when it moves west, it stays in Michigan. That setup puts heavy snow into the Chicago area.
Yes!
especially Tuesday night and Wednesday morning, with precipitation continuing through Wednesday. Even with that setup, however, the precipitation is likely to mainly accumulate just Tuesday night, as the temperatures are just too mild, and the strong sun angle of April will limit accumulations for Wednesday. At the current time, confidence is high enough, 50% chance for a winter storm for portions of Green Bay, Wisconsin. So we're well out of the woods for the higher confidence snowstorm. Green Bay, Wisconsin is currently under a winter storm watch, where there's a 50% chance of seeing 6 inches or more of snow. That winter storm watch continues up into northeastern Wisconsin. Total storm accumulations of 6 to 12 inches expected over there, and that's a heavy, wet snow. Some areas of over a foot, tells us the Green Bay, Wisconsin National Weather Service. Some areas, again, will be getting more than a foot. Here's the deal over there. So this storm, if you go back down into southern Wisconsin, especially into Illinois, the worst case scenario for tomorrow would bring 2 to 4 inches of snow from northwestern Illinois, tells us the National Weather Service of Chicago. But that's likely not going to happen. That's a worst case scenario. Best case scenario is just rain mixing with some snow. Quad Cities, Iowa, tells us that forecasters think about 1 to 2 inches would accumulate in that area. Rain would transition over to snow some point tomorrow afternoon for that area, and then the changeover occurs tomorrow night for the Chicago area.
Yes!
When you go up into the Wisconsin area, so snowfall rates, instead of it being a half an inch an hour, which is what would be forecasted for the northern portions of Illinois, snowfall rates of 1 to 2 inches an hour is expected for Green Bay, Wisconsin. That's also what could be expected in the Quad Cities area for a time being. Okay, so we have snowfall rates of 1 to 2 inches an hour. But here's the thing. The Green Bay, Wisconsin National Weather Service tells us that there's the possibility of a mesoscale development. Those are the types of things that develop. It's like a thunderstorm complex that develops a very miniature low-pressure system. Should that thing develop, and that's forecast, a good chance for that to develop, should that thing develop, that's going to enhance snowfall rates. With or without thunder, snowfall rates would be enhanced. How much? By 1 inch or so. Snowfall rates of 2 to 3 inches an hour with snowfall total of more than a foot would be expected. AccuWeather. That comes from the Green Bay, Wisconsin National Weather Service. Here's the barometric pressure, what's forecasted to happen. So this storm system is expected to intensify and rapidly intensify after it hits Indianapolis. It hits Indianapolis and it shoots up north, and then it kind of becomes stationary as it starts to move westward, and by Thursday the system starts to weaken. But until that point, we have a barometric pressure of 29.6 as it starts off on its track. Moving out of Colorado, Kansas, it's already in northwestern Missouri. That storm system, it kind of strengthens probably about 29.4 as you move into southern Illinois, into central Indiana as well, but then it rapidly intensifies to somewhere between 28.9 and 29.1 inches in mercury. One of the higher resolution models showing it going down to 28.95. Currently, the National Weather Service has said somewhere between 29.0 and 29.15. That's what the current thinking is. So this is a pretty intense storm. We start to forecast storm totals of about a foot or more when you hit 29.3, possibly 29.2. But 29.1 is well into that area. Of course, we do have higher than usual, lower than usual snow to water ratios. We're dealing with a wet snow that's going to help bring down those snowfall accumulations. This is an extended event. It's an extensive snowstorm. It's a prolonged, long-duration event, tells us the Milwaukee National Weather Service. Quite remarkable for April. At the same time, the heaviest snow, all of these snowfall accumulations, almost all of it will be occurring within a short period of time. The rest of it is just light snow, periods of light snow. We have two other time periods where additional snowfall could move into the Midwest, into Indiana, especially Indiana. One of them occurs Wednesday, another one on Thursday, and this is due to an unseasonably cold air mass in place, especially in the upper atmosphere. You know, the National Weather Service tells us at the 500 MB level, this low pressure system will be down to 520 decimeters.
Holy cow!
You know, we like to measure heat waves in the summertime. You'll see those decimeter maps sometimes, with 594 being a powerhouse thing. This past summer, we hit about 600 in the Phoenix, Arizona area. But we have the opposite by low pressure, and 520 is unseasonably low, unseasonably strong low pressure for this time of the year. We know that, for this time of the year, and also we have unseasonably cold air, which will stick around the region, and this could be producing additional periods of snow at times. There have been two periods of snow that have been clearly identified, and you could look it up on the National Weather Service website. Both of them seem to generally be occurring in the Indiana area, some of it perhaps in far northeastern Illinois. Here's another risk, another hazard that could be expected. This is something that occurs only in the strongest storms. 15 to 20 foot waves along Lake Michigan, especially for Gary, Indiana eastward. 15 to 20 foot waves. Flooding is a very real possibility, even along the Chicago shores. The National Weather Service says the bike path along with trails around there, even parks, could be flooded due to this strong storm system. This is a powerhouse storm. It's managing to pull in very cold air during a time of year when there really is very limited cold air, and we're pulling off a powerhouse winter storm in April due to this low pressure system. And it's also quite a interesting setup, bringing heavy snow. The real development of the winter storm is right here over the Wisconsin, Illinois area eastward. There isn't much going on for portions west of that. Eastern portions of Iowa could get a little bit in on the action, but east central Wisconsin and northeast Wisconsin are the areas which have the highest confidence of a 6-inch snowfall or more. With that being said, Chicago is not completely out of the woods on this one, because we do have some of the computer models, if you look at windy.com, do set up for Chicago receiving a significant amount of snow. One computer model has Chicago getting more than 6 inches of snow. Lesser amounts as you head over to the south suburbs. Thank you for listening. Everyone stay safe. A big warm-up takes place after this cold air gets out of here, with temperatures warming back into the 60s for the Chicago area by next week. Have a wonderful day. Thank you. You've been listening to Weather with Enthusiasm. This podcast can be found on almost every platform where podcasts are available.